Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Azrael, and this is a Shadow Knight announcement. In a world full of chaos, warriors will rise. Please, if you like the channel, drop us a like and a subscribe, and jump over to the chat. Tell us what you think. Now let's get back to this.
Well, people, in this video we're going to take a look at the Green Party, and let's just see if their true colours has just been exposed. This news comes after the co-deputy leader of the Green Party is under fire and getting backlash after opposing housing illegal immigrants in her area of East Sussex. Now this is a woman that was an avid defender of the illegal immigrants coming over here, putting a drain on all our resources, assaulting the men, women and children of Britain, or even worse on what seems a daily basis now. But it's not just her. This mentality is what the whole Green Party is all about. Let's go over to GB News and see what Patrick and his guests have to say about the situation.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you to my wonderful live audience as well. So, the Green Party's co-deputy leader, Rachel Millward, is in a lot of hot water after slamming plans to house 600 asylum seekers in her own East Sussex patch. That is, of course, despite previously backing the party's, welcome all, come one, come all. That's very much the Green Party's view, open borders, all of this stuff, but just not in her area. Well, in a blistering letter to the Home Office, she complains that Crowborough Army Camp, which is one of these new camps, well, it's an old camp, but you know what I mean, they're thinking of using it for asylum seekers, pose significant risks to public services, staff, and, of course, even the asylum seekers themselves. Now, in a post on X, she seems to have all the answers for the government.
Say, well, what should we be doing? And I'm like, well, asylum seekers should have the right to work, and that would mean that people could come and they could integrate into our society. They could bring skills that we need, actually. There are doctors and surgeons and, barbers and all sorts of different people, and they could come and bring those skills and integrate into our society and then pay their way.
So we have the co-deputy leader of the Green Party here, and as you can see here, she recently sent a letter to the government explaining that if these asylum seekers get housed in her area, it will make the streets of her area in East Sussex unsafe. But yet it was not that long ago she posted a video to social media. And in that video she states that immigration is a good thing for Britain, and how having asylum seekers in our communities is good for Britain, and how they can contribute to our society and to our economy. But wait, now that the government is thinking putting them in the area where she lives, all of a sudden it's completely the opposite and they're not respectable people, and if they did get housed in her area they will make her streets unsafe. But come on, love, at the end of the day we cannot have it both ways. They're either good for society, or they're bad for the society. Either way you need to make a decision. Especially if you are in a political party that is trying to become the people running the country. All you have to do is take a look at what's going on in this country to know having this open border that lets in illegal immigrants every single day, it's just not working. Look at our streets, look at how unsafe they already are, look at all the hurt and chaos that has been brought to the British public already. How can any intelligent person not see the damage that's being brought to this country?
Yeah, so she's done a couple of clips on this now where she's trying to use the line that people basically coming across the channel are surgeons, engineers, all of that stuff. Well, then she was hit with a beautiful, delicious reality check when a member of the public clapped back on her.
Engineers, doctors and surgeons do not come from France on a dinghy and throw their medical certificate overboard. It's very clear to me that you really don't understand the small boat crisis. So therefore, I am going to say, why don't you resign, both of you, and make way for someone who understands the crisis.
Gotcha, bitch!
Right, well, they've made a little bit of a reality check. Do you think there's a bit of hypocrisy, Adam, when it comes to the Green Party? Refugees welcome, but just not here, thanks?
Massively. Look, these middle-class lefties, these asylum seekers are not raping or sexually assaulting people in their towns. These asylum seekers are not causing absolute carnage where they live. Let's remember when Keir Starmer was asked if he would have would be up for having one of these in his town, he said no. So look, at the end of the day, until it affects them, they do not understand what we're going through. Look, the Green Party seems to do everything but talk about the environment nowadays. For me, they are far left extremists. They're more bothered about Gaza than they are Britain. They want open borders. They want to legalise crack cocaine and heroin. They think that women can have a penis. For me, they are middle-class nut jobs.
Adam here on GB News is talking about the leader of the Green Party, Zach Polanski. And let's just have a look at a couple of clips just to illustrate what Adam is saying, because there is evidence to prove what he is talking about. He isn't just making things up, these are things that Zach Polanski has really said on TV, so let's go take a look.
The build-up to that joke was he does not believe that biological men should be using women's faces. Do you?
I think the phrase biological men needs unpacking.
Not really. You're either born male or female.
Yes, and then lots of people transition and lots of people identify as other things. I think
yeah, but this idea you can become a woman.
You want to talk about free speech, but what about tolerance? You know, for a long time...
Yeah, but what about women's rights?
Well, women's rights are totally fine. In fact,
well they're not though, are they? They've come under massive attack.
I would say they're totally fine.
Mainly because...
What the hell, people? What on earth is this man on about being a male needs in boxing? And what the hell does he mean by being a biological male needs unpacking? There is nothing to unpack. Science, facts, reality, nature, creation, it all tells us there was, is, and always will be only two sexes and only two genders on this planet, male, female, him, her, and he, she. That's written into every living being on this planet, every living species on Earth. Animal and plant life alike has a male and female sex to reproduce and create life.
Trans athletes being women's sport?
Yes.
What?
If a trans athlete is a woman, then of course they should be in the sport that they're participating.
But they're not a woman, they're a man.
Well, I think that's deeply offensive to...
They're born biological men. They can call themselves trans women. I'll respect them. If they want to be called she or he, that's fine. I don't care. But what you can't have is biological males competing in women's sport. Everybody with half a brain knows this is completely outrageous, wrong, dangerous, as we saw in the Paris Olympics, where you had a boxer quitting after 40 seconds because she'd never been hit that hard in the ring by somebody, it turns out, has male chromosomes. And you want to be Prime Minister of this country, or maybe you don't, I'm not sure, but either way, you want to lead a party in this country that thinks that's fine.
I'm glad that you think this is the number one issue when I actually want to talk about the cost of living crisis and inequality.
I think it's actually a much more important issue.
Let's talk about sports.
Now, I don't agree with Piers Morgan on a lot of issues, but I do agree with him on this. Trans women should never be in women's sports. They're biological men. There is a massive reason why we have male and female sports separate. And no, it's not just because men don't want to play with women. There is a whole bunch of totally reasonable circumstances why we split the sexes in sports. But this is really where the Green Party fails, because we all know there are some massive problems in this country, but we are allowed to talk about all the problems individually without getting attacked for mentioning it. And when the Green Party goes on about the millionaires and billionaires, and all we need to do is tax the hell out of them and everything will be okay, won't work. You're not Robin Hood. You cannot rob off the rich to give to the poor. What do you think is going to happen the second you tax these millionaires and billionaires too much? They're just going to take their millions and billions and just leave. Then you will have no rich to rob, and all that will happen is the poor will get poorer and the amount of poverty will just get larger.
But actually, you want to trample on women's rights in sport?
No, I don't at all.
You said you're fine with biological men competing in women's sport.
Because a trans woman is a woman, so I'm not trampling on their rights.
But the UK Supreme Court has established that a male is a male and a female is a female.
The UK Supreme Court is to look at it. Yeah, of course they're wrong.
They're wrong.
Now he must think he is a doctor, a scientist, a professor, a legal rights lawyer, biologist, a physicist, an expert in the laws of nature and physics, because he thinks our Supreme Court is completely wrong for clarifying that a woman is a biological female. Basically declaring if you was born female you're a woman, and if you're born a male you're a man.
You should know better than to target these people rather than targeting the actual problem in the
Can a woman have a penis?
Yes.
You serious?
are speaking about migration in positive sense. Now, of course, there will be people who have problems with migration, but their problems are because they can't get a dentist appointment, because there's not enough council homes, because we've not invested in our communities. But none of these are problems of a black face. These are the problems of multimillionaires and billionaires and the politicians who haven't taxed them properly. We can change that. They're all political choices. Let's make different political choices.
Yeah.
Well, look, there are massive issues with integration in this country. I think that is a fact, and I think many people in this country, ordinary, hard-working, lovely British people, feel concerned, quite rightly, about integration in this country. I think Robert Jenrick is not necessarily the best exponent of those concerns, given he served in that Tory government as immigration minister, no less, when 6.5 million net new people were shipped in over 14 years of their government against the wishes of the British people who voted against such mass immigration time and time again. Look, it is a fact that there are serious issues with immigration in this country. There are serious issues with integration in this country, in no small part because we had 11 million people grow, 6.5 million net new people arrived, fewer hospital beds. The Tories left the country with fewer hospital beds than when they arrived. They left the country with 400 net new prison places. That is why people are so fearful about getting sick right now. That is why people are fearful of crime, and so many violent criminals have to be released early because we lack the prison space. The Tories catastrophically mismanaged the country, and as bad as this Labour government are, nobody is more accountable for that than the Tories.
Well, I agree with Zia here. You cannot sit there and say all these illegal immigrants into this country won't be a burden on all our resources. And let's not dance along the question here. This is what we are on about here. Not migrants, not immigrants, illegal immigrants, people that are breaking into this country every single day with no right to be here, or them that have overstayed their visa limit. We the British people are always welcome to anyone that is willing to enter our country legally, through the proper channels, and be vetted to make sure you're a right fit for Britain. Will you be able to contribute to our society? Will you be able to contribute to our economy? Will you be able to contribute to our communities? Make sure you live by our laws and rules, our culture. And if you break any of these, you will be punished to the fullest extent of the law, and your status will be looked at, and may even get deported. Because we are under no obligation to keep anyone in this country that has absolutely no respect for it, just because you say you're a person in need. Like Zia says here, 6.5 million net new people arriving in 14 years, and he also says 11 million gross people but doesn't specify. But even if the actual and accurate numbers are anywhere near close to these numbers we have a massive problem, and of course it's going to put massive pressure on all our resources.
Must be like to be a Muslim man and to see who could be your family and your relatives, to see how that's being behaved. Now, I want everyone to treat politics with sensitivity, with nuance, to bring kindness and compassion. I think the woman up there, I think spoke really powerfully earlier about bringing...
Can I just say, I'm a Muslim, you're calling me a fascist. Are you going to extend that courtesy?
Oh, you absolutely are a fascist. You're from a far-right party. Right. You're Nigel Farage.
Let's just be clear about that.
Wait, Zach talk, and then I'm going to let you come in. Now, wait a minute.
Concern about Muslims extends only so much as they agree with your political
I realise he's made an allegation. I'm going to let Zach talk, then I'm going to let you respond.
Let's bring the receipts. Nigel Farage, he joined forces with the Swedish Democrats in the European Parliament. This is a far-right Nazi group. They want to deport people, not based on the colour of his skin, but from the places that they've come from. They also, Nigel Farage talked about it being the end of democracy because of the way certain ethnic minorities are voting. These aren't robust words, as Annabelle called them earlier, or we've heard on the conversation. This is racism, it's fascism, and we should call it out.
Zia.
Okay, so what we want to do is support people on the basis of whether they are legally entitled to be in this country. That has nothing to do with race, ethnicity, nor religion. Now let's talk. You accused me earlier, let alone fascist. You said that I was peddling disinformation. And I think people watching this programme at home, given the Green Party are right now, to be fair, they're surging in the polls. It's important that people know this. When Zach Polanski is making seductive claims to you, it's important that you understand, before he came into politics, he literally made money by charging women on the promise that he could literally enlarge the size of their breasts by hypnotizing them.
And that is true, you can go Google it. Zach Polanski, real name David Polden, does believe he can enlarge women's breasts with hypnosis.
Is a true statement, and by the way, if you think that's
think
insane,
Reform are a little bit scared about the Green
if
Party,
you
is
think
this
that's
what we're getting?
insane, his policies are even more insane. He wants a world without borders. He wants open borders. He wants us to stand down and destroy our nuclear deterrent as Vladimir Putin belligerently marauds into Ukraine. He wants a communist economic system. He wants to legalize all drugs. And in Zach Polanski's version of Britain, his version of Britain, it is legal to sell fentanyl, crack cocaine, and heroin, but illegal to rent your flat out. This is the most unserious person to enter British politics in my lifetime.
Okay, listen, Zach.
Well, there you go, guys. It's here for you to see. Zach Polanski, they're saying some of the most ridiculous things I have ever heard. Now it's up to you to make your own minds up. Now let's get back to GB News and see what they have to say.
And anyone that votes for the Greens needs their head testing, because they're not a serious party. They do not understand what goes on in the communities up and down of this country. And this is a perfect example of that. And if they're going to house them in barracks, at the end of the day, if they are going to put them in barracks, they shouldn't be allowed off to run riot around these towns. They should be guarded barracks, and that is the end of it.
Okay. Next time when you come on, if you just make sure that you tell us all what you really think, is that all right? You know,
okay.
don't sit on the fence. But there we go. Linda, your views on the Greens, being hypocritical. I mean, there's other stuff, isn't there? She thinks she should have the rights to work.
She lost me at co-deputy leader. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if you intend leading a political party properly, you have a leader. And that is typical of the Green Party. And I know they've got a lot of support amongst youngsters, but it's typical of them to share leadership this way. And it leads to this kind of woolly thinking. The fact of the matter is, she's just playing normal politics. She didn't agree with this policy earlier on. She sounded off about it. And then suddenly, when it ends up in her backyard, she is saying, no, we don't want this. Do you know what happened? She got what all politicians fear. She got a well-informed civilian right in front of her. That's what happened, and that's why she was taken down. She's not well-informed, she's just being disingenuous, and she's let her party down. She's let proper Green supporters down, and she's let politics down by this stupid behaviour.
Oh, gosh, scathing. I don't know if there's going to be any more support in the audience, but gentleman here with the microphone, go on, mate, what would you like to say on this?
Very good comment by Adam. I was lowering there. Right, we've got 5% over unemployment in this country now.
Yeah.
Businesses are crashing right, left and centre. With all due respect, David Lammy's letting prisoners run around like lunatics. And now we've got brain surgeons on boats who haven't got a penny to their name, who want to be housed, but they're coming in the country and the Green Party is making out that they're worth the effort to put them up, look after them, right?
Okay.
The way I see things at the minute, with the exception of reform,
right.
Barry obviously is a decent bloke over there, right? A few members of the Conservative Party, all these parties that are in fractions seem to have lost the plot. We're listening to the biggest load of gobbledygook ever, right? We need to get back on track.
It's a gobbledygook now. another on-air apology. All right, brilliant. All right, well, look, you know, your point. Go on, Barry and then Christo. So, what's going on here?
Can I put some of Adam's points in a slightly more polite way?
I talk for the people, Barry.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's never a good look for a politician to say one thing when they think it won't affect them, and then protest like hell when they realise it does. But if you're going to object, you know, at least get your arguments straight. And I'll tell you what really made me laugh. I mean, that was funny enough. Yeah. But I don't know if you saw the sign that was on the protest march that she was leading, right? Do you know what it said? It said, "Stop this madness. 600 men in one small army camp in one small rural community. Seriously?" That's a direct quote from the sign. Well, forgive me, but I thought that's what army camps were, 600 men in one small army camp in one rural community.
But not unvetted, unverified foreign men.
That's the point.
That we are seeing rapes and sexual assault happen up and down the country.
I honestly do think, Adam, you need to go a lot easier on the rapes and the sexual assault. Because, yes, there have been instances of it, but to blanket brush everybody,
not blanket brushing everyone,
into this country as a rapist, I think is really wrong. It demeans just the seriousness of rape for those people who are going through it.
I'm posting on my Instagram every day a rape or a sexual assault by an asylum seeker or migrant. It's a serious problem in this country, and we need to call a national emergency because the people in our parliament are not dealing with it.
So this is a Refugees Welcome woman, Rachel Millward. She has basically always said refugees welcome, and then she's written a letter where she actually speaks about the well-being and safety of both asylum seekers and local communities not being safeguarded by these asylum seekers being in her constituency. It's so delicious, it should be fattening, shouldn't it? Because it is so hypocritical. And what's amazing is that she gave a speech at the Green Party conference where she spoke about people who blame immigrants being far right. So I'd like to welcome Rachel to the far right. Congratulations.
Brilliant.
You've now joined the far right. If I have to listen, I think I know their strategy, by the way, because if I have to listen to any more of the Green Party nonsense, I'm going to want that crack to be legalised because I'm going to need it.
I'll take the edge off. Although I've got to... Sorry, go on. Right, well, not much support in the room here for the co-deputy leader of the Green Party.
Co-deputy,
I know, it's ridiculous. But anyway, she posted on her social media, though, to say what, two-party politics is crumbling. She says there's no time to waste. I believe we've got another clip of her here.
Reform pretend to champion ordinary people whilst voting against policies that would ease the cost of living. They scapegoat immigrants, they deny science, and they have no constructive solutions. The Green Party has the answers. We are the hope. I know what it takes to lead a fast-growing movement. I created a successful International Women's Film Festival at a time when feminism was still being laughed off. We have what matters, the policies, the principles, the integrity. Now we need to burst out our bubbles and spread this message of hope across the nation.
OK, we have contacted her. We're awaiting a response. I imagine we'll be waiting quite a long time. But anyway...
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this video has shed some light into who we have running our country. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel.